Well, the day of reckoning is here. Since the Ship of Harkinian Ocarina of Time PC port was released in 2022, it was only a matter of time before Majora's Mask was given the same treatment. However, I really did not expect it this soon. The Majora's Mask decompilation project is not at 100% yet, so I figured that this would not happen for at least a couple more months. However, that's because this PC port actually does not run on the Majora's Mask decompilation project. While I'm not going to get into the super technical details on how this PC port actually functions, I've left a video by Nerrel down in the description that breaks it down a little bit more. Additionally, this PC port was created by Wiseguy, and I've left a link to the release trailer as well as the download link so that you guys can try it out for yourself. The project that he's working on is honestly insane. It seems like it has a lot of potential even outside just Majora's Mask, and seems like it might be the best replacement for emulation when playing on the PC. But in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to download this for yourselves. I'll give you an overview of the new features. I'm going to compare it to official releases by Nintendo and talk about some more speedrunning related stuff, which is what this channel is about. So with that being said, don't forget to subscribe and consider popping out to the Twitch. Anyways, I'm sorry for e-begging, okay? Let's talk about Majora's Mask. Installing this thing is incredibly easy. Just go to the GitHub link I provided in the description below, download the release, run the executable, and provided a Majora's Mask English ROM. This will give us the option to start the game, as well as view the number of new settings that this PC port provides. First things first, I gotta say the UI here is really solid. As good as the I'm GUI UI in Ship of Harkinian, this one feels more like a final product, I guess. I don't know. When we open the settings page, we're greeted with a ton of new features provided by the PC port. The main draw here is the graphics settings, allowing us to play the game in higher frame rates, higher resolution, and even widescreen, coming out of the box with HUD readjustment. While widescreen hacks do exist on emulator, this is really the only option for true widescreen without culling issues and proper HUD placement. Additionally, we have the option to turn down just the music volume, as well as turn off the low health beep, which is a great feature to have. Under the general tab is where we're met with the new gameplay mechanics. There's two main ones that we need to talk about, which is gyro aiming and autosaving. Gyro aiming is something that exists in newer Zelda games and also in Ship of Harkinian for Ocarina of Time, so it's nice to see something like that here. I wasn't able to test this out myself because I don't have a gyro controller I can use, but I trust that it works. Additionally, autosaving is a really interesting feature to add. Throughout the game will periodically autosave. This is a huge convenience, meaning that you can just quit the game at any point and can jump back right where you left off. You know the game's autosaving when this little owl icon appears in the bottom right. The controls page is where things started to slightly falter for me. I played using a GameCube controller with a Mayflash adapter, and the controller binding seemed to have an issue determining a light trigger press and a hard press. I managed to fix this using a third-party program called Delfinovin, but out-of-the-box GameCube support would be really nice to see. The control page also allows the double binding of inputs, meaning one action can be mapped to two buttons. While I didn't find much use for this, I can see it being nice for using a combination of controller inputs and keyboard inputs. Let's talk about this visually though, and Jesus Christ, this thing delivers. Not only does the game look great upscaled at a higher frame rate, but they also preserve the original Nintendo 64 effects that were not present in the Virtual Console releases. The only exception to this that I could find was in the bomb explosion, which looks way closer to the Wii Virtual Console release rather than the N64 and Nintendo Switch Online versions. Additionally, it appears that the UI is upscaled pixel perfectly, rather than some other method like bilinear upscaling, which honestly I'm a fan of. The UI can look kinda blurry when it's upscaled this way, but the pixel perfect interface looks a lot more crisp in my opinion. Another nice thing to see here is the intact fog effects. This is kinda lost in the Virtual Console releases and was kinda restored in Nintendo Switch Online, but it looks much closer to the Nintendo 64 in this version. When I actually started playing the game, however, the controls felt kinda off. The control stick feels way too sensitive, almost to the point where the dead zone is non-existent. It almost felt like the control stick range was squished down to fit into the control stick, which makes it a bit awkward to move around at times. This could easily be fixed with more in-depth control stick mapping, so hopefully we see that in future releases. Additionally, in face to the original Nintendo 64 release, this port does not contain any cardinal dead zones, something that Nintendo fixed in the Wii Virtual Console and then forgot about again in Nintendo Switch Online. The lack of cardinal dead zone can make doing things as simple as walking in a straight line much more difficult than necessary, and good luck trying to backwalk. This is really nitpicky though and really doesn't interfere with the normal playthrough of the game, but it's something I'd like to see at least as an option in the future. Also, the load times in this are extremely fast, even faster than emulator or any official release. From what I could tell as well, there was basically zero input latency, which is a huge relief, as even official releases suffer from having anywhere from a little bit to an annoyingly high amount of input latency. Additionally, from what I can tell, there doesn't seem to be a way to soft reset the game. This prevents save warping, which isn't really that big of a deal at all, but again, it's something that would be kinda nice to have. But let's talk a bit more in depth about the game itself. For one, similar to Ship of Harkinian, the higher frame rate is separate from the general gameplay, so you won't experience any issues in-game regardless of how high your frame rate is. Some cutscenes can kinda look a little bit funky at high frame rates, but that's more on the fault of this game being made for 20 frames per second. Additionally, one-frame pause buffers don't really exist here. This is something that was present in every official release outside of Wii U Virtual Console, but also something I really didn't expect here. Ship of Harkinian provides a toggleable option to mitigate this, and I would love to see that feature here. Additionally, as expected, the game will crash in the normal ways it would on official releases, such as through HES crashes. Interestingly though, I could not get the game to crash through get item manipulation, something that does have a potential of crashing on other versions. That's not to say it's impossible though, as game crashes are a little bit strange, but I at least could not make it happen. Also, it seems like cutscenes were adjusted to fix a problem on official re-releases where the cutscene would finish before the music. This is also present in Nintendo Switch Online, so it's really cool to see here as well. While I was playing through as well, I couldn't help but wish for an option to hard save anywhere. While the autosave feature really is great, the lack of hard saving prevented me from being able to mess around with this a little more than I would have liked. I think introducing hard saves would be a great alternative to official releases restore points or emulator save states. The autosaving feature already exists, so hopefully this is something that could be added in the future. I also would love to see some more cheating and debugging tools, as that's the only real thing it's missing compared to emulator or Ship of Harkinian. Overall though, that's really my only complaints regarding the PC port, and I'll be the first to admit that most of them are super nitpicky. Overall, I think that this is the new go-to way to play this game for casual players. All of the official Nintendo releases are plagued with some really annoying issues, and I feel like this provides enough great graphic upgrades and gameplay features to beat out emulation. But what does this PC port mean for speedrunners? Well, outside of likely making the Twitch directory a bit harder to find speedrunners, at this point in time, nothing. Due to the lack of any semblance of lag or load times, this PC port is vastly faster than any platform we allow on speedrun.com, even emulator. That being said, I'm a huge proponent of making Majora's Mask speedrunning accessible to as many people as possible, so I'm hoping in the future we can find a good way to allow people to speedrun this version, with the proper restrictions in place to make competition fair for everyone. This is something that doesn't just happen overnight though, so in the meantime, showing your support for its legality and trying out the speedrun on this version is something that I'm happy to support. Until then though, give this port a try, and I cannot urge you enough to support the developer who created this. Again, I've left links to this project in the description below, so please, please, please check it out. But this has been Jake, and thanks for watching. If you'd like to see some videos of what speedrunning Majora's Mask is like, click on a video on screen now, and of course, subscribe.